allowing God to work through us requires us to, really open up and surrender control and, really start moving in obedience and allowing God to really start shifting things in our life so that we can start moving down a path, of alignment, of, being the best versions of ourselves. And so for me, with this podcast, with the brand Grains, with my personal brand and things like that, my sole purpose for what I'm trying to do and the path that I feel pulled to really pursue is using the things that I've been blessed with, using the things that I've went through, my pain, my past, in service of others, and there's nothing that resonates with me more deeply than the idea of being able to do that, and I know that my purpose, that path of pursuing my purpose in the highest version of myself is going to require a lot out of me. It's going to require a lot of, accountability, a lot of discipline, a lot of devotion. And the more and more you continue to kind of play on the fence and kind of neglect fully going in, the more you're just, prolonging you really stepping into everything that God has for you and really continuing to move up. Because you can get to certain places and be cool. Like a lot of people, they reach certain places and they kind of just settle, I'm good here, but for me, I can't do that, because the more I say I'm good here, the more I feel that inner pull to really, really do more and be more. You know what I mean? And so that's really why I wanted to get into this. And so the first key, or the first point, is recognizing your calling. It says, your calling often begins as a quiet whisper, a deep knowing inside of you that keeps resurfacing. It may come through passions, life experiences, or an undeniable pull to a certain path. The more you resist it, the louder it gets, until it becomes a roar you cannot ignore. That's so true. And it may not be like the louder it gets, I think the stronger it gets. That pull to really, move in a more aligned, authentic way. It gets stronger and stronger the more you deny it, the more you just decide not to do that, and I'm grateful that, we have intuition. I'm grateful that we have the ability to feel that pull, from the Most High to move in a direction that's more aligned and authentic, because we always have an opportunity to get back on track. We always have an opportunity to take the next right step and not allow what we've done to dictate where we're going. Not allow us being complacent or us being, playing around in certain areas, or us playing on the fence or lukewarm, whatever it is, to stop us from stepping into that path. It says your calling isn't just about what you do. It's about what God has placed within you to serve a greater purpose, right? And I think that's another thing that gets in the way of people really living, in alignment, is what you want versus what's really meant for you. You know what I mean? And you have to have a certain level of discernment, which comes from you really carving out that space and spending time with yourself, starting to understand yourself better. But you have to have a certain level of discernment to know what is actually for me and what I just want. What my fleshly desires are just longing for versus what is actually aligned with the highest version of myself, with the Most High's plan. And having that discernment is so important, because if you don't, you can be so clouded by what you want that, you're blocking out what God is really trying to do in your life. And I speak from experience, because there's been a lot of times where I've wanted certain things and I've been so focused on getting what I want that I've missed out on everything that God had for me in that season. And so just being mindful of that, being aware of it, can help you to start navigating or sitting with things before you just are so quick to just, act on something. Let me really sit with myself and make sure that this desire I'm feeling is aligned with the highest version of myself. Do some solitude, do some stillness, bring some stillness in your life and really sit with that. You know what I mean? It says recognizing your calling requires commitment to deep self-awareness and daily reflection. Devotion to truth will help you discern between distractions and divine direction. That's beautiful. It requires a commitment to deep self-awareness and daily reflection. In order for you to truly step into your calling and live out the life that you were made to live, it's going to require a deep level of self-awareness and daily reflection. Because living out your calling, really living out, the highest version of yourself, that is a daily process. That's not a destination. It's not about getting to a certain point and everything's good. That's something you have to wake up every single day and actively choose to do in everything that you do. Be intentional with how you move, how you speak, what you watch, what you listen to, what you eat, who you spend time with, all of that. And that's an everyday journey, right? Some days are going to be better than others. Some days are going to feel a lot more, uplifting than others. But As long as you can continue to keep that intention at the forefront of your mind, in the forefront of your life, and you just keep taking it one day at a time, you're going to keep moving towards the path that's aligned with your calling, that's aligned with the highest version of yourself, And so just really, really focusing on that is something that can help us all continuously move in the right direction. It says devotion to truth will help you discern between distractions and divine direction. You have to have a certain level of devotion to figuring out the truth for your life, right? Everybody's on their own unique journey. Everybody has, their own unique calling and their own unique path. You have to really have a certain level of devotion to figuring out what is the truth for my life. What is God really requiring of me in this season that I'm in? What are the things that are truly aligned with the highest version of myself, and what are the things that aren't? And really making a devotion to searching that out every single day. Asking the right questions, sitting and listening, those type of things. It says your calling won't always feel convenient or glamorous. True obedience is following the path even when it doesn't make logical sense. So often we miss out on our calling because where we're being pulled to doesn't make logical sense to us. We don't understand it, and so we don't do it. Right? Because we want things to make sense for us to, actually pursue them or go down that path. But a lot of times your calling and what God wants you to do isn't going to make sense to you. And it's going to require you to really live in faith, to really trust in something you can't see. But it's not there to push you away. It's not there to, block you from the blessings or stepping into your calling. It's there to provide an opportunity to lean into it with the right energy, because you need the energy of faith. You need to be able to trust, to really step into the things that God has for you, right? So when you don't understand something and you're being pulled to go that direction, when you don't, see how this is helping you or why this is happening, understand that is an opportunity to lean into that thing with faith. Because deep down, man, God is telling me to go this way. God is telling me to do this thing. God is telling me to pursue this thing. God is telling me to let go of this thing, right? And sometimes that's not going to make sense. It's not going to make logical sense, right? And that's why they say, follow your heart, not your eyes, right? When your heart, when you're allowing God to infiltrate your heart and your heart is telling you to go this way and that way doesn't really make sense, right? Because you can't see any clarity. You don't understand why that's happening. You have to trust that the reason I'm feeling this strong pull is because the Most High wants me to actually move in that direction, right? Obedience. Obedience is one of the key elements you need in order to really step into your calling and be the best version of yourself. Obedience is going to require you, your journey is going to require you to be obedient. God is going to ask certain things of you. God is going to ask you to release certain things, to step away from certain people, to step away from certain environments, to step in to certain things. And when you're operating in obedience, you don't ask why. You don't try to figure it out first. You say, yes, God, I understand, and I'm going to lean into this with faith, and I'm going to trust in your plan. Obedience. Your calling isn't random. It's divinely assigned, meant to stretch and refine you, right? It's not meant to be easy. When you make that decision, I want to start really, really embracing my calling for my life, really living a more aligned, authentic life that's, in congruence with the highest version of myself. You're going to start being pulled and pushed and pressured in certain areas. It's going to start getting incredibly uncomfortable in certain areas of your life. And it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's actually because you're moving in the right direction. And in order to really step into everything that you were made to be, it's not an easy process, and it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to push you. It's supposed to make you feel like you don't have things figured out sometimes. All those are part of you actually stepping into the things that are for you. It's supposed to be challenging. You're supposed to face adversity because that's how your character is developed, right? So remember that when you're really pursuing that path of wanting to embrace your calling, wanting to live a more aligned, authentic life, it's not supposed to feel easy when you're trying to shift into that path, into that journey. It's not supposed to feel easy. That shift is gonna require a lot out of you. And it is gonna bring a lot of pain, hardship, adversity, loss, rejection sometimes. but it's all happening for you in order for you to truly step into the things that are for you, right? The more you listen, the clearer the voice of purpose becomes. Like I said, the purpose is not in what you do. It's in who you are. If you want to know or have some sense of purpose in your life, if you want to start embracing your calling, it's going to require you to start listening, to truly sit with yourself in solitude and listen. Just listen and see what comes up. And maybe the first few times, you feel like you're not hearing anything, you feel like there's no clarity. I need you to keep showing up, because the clarity comes from you continuously showing up. It's not you decide to listen one time and all the answers just flood into your mind. No, it takes time. It takes consistency and devotion and obedience, right? When God says, I need you to take some time in solitude and just listen, and you do that, and you feel like you don't hear anything, you feel like there's no clarity coming, can you continue to be obedient and show up and carve out that space for stillness even when you feel like it's not working, and just trust that if I keep showing up, something will come from this because I felt pulled to do it, right? Obedience.